Hello YouTube, this is Rajesh and this is my channel called Cat Guru. I created this channel because I wanted to share some of my SolidWorks and mechanical design industrial experience with you. Allow me to provide a small introduction about me. Moving on to the next slide, I am a senior mechanical engineer working for a upstream oil and gas industry. I have 9 years of R&D experience in oil and gas and wind turbine industries. I currently hold 11 patents with a few more in progress. Generating a patent is fun and exciting. Probably I will make a video about the patents also in future tutorial. Now let's jump on to the next slide. Knowledge needed before using SolidWorks. Before starting to work on SolidWorks, my viewers are expected to know basics of machining, drafting, and knowledge on units. If you do not have the experience, do not worry. You are in the right channel. You will learn in coming tutorials. Okay, let's begin to the next slide. What will I share in my channel? So we will basically learn basics of drafting, SolidWorks basics feature, rendering, 3D modeling and drafting as per oil and gas industry, basic end calculation using SolidWorks, O-ring calculations, tolerance stackup and GD&T. Moving on to the next slide, tutorial 1. So we're gonna learn basics of drafting, what is drafting, quadrants, what is angle of projection, what is first, second, third, and fourth angle of projection, why we do not use second, fourth angle projection view. What is drafting? Drafting is a detailed 2D engineering drawing, diagram, blueprints of the models or structure to guide product makers, architects, or construction personnel in the manufacturing, implementation, or building process. Some engineering drawings not only include product view but also include notes like raw material, coating node, and so forth. Now that we know what drafting is, let's move on to next slide. What are quadrants? So imagine a room and divide that into four by adding a vertical and horizontal wall as you see in the picture. With each space you get what is called quadrant. They are recognized as first, second, third, and fourth quadrants in a counterclockwise as seen in this image. Moving on to the next slide. What is an angle of projection? The angle at which an observer draws an object to convert it from 3D to 2D plane is known as angle of projection. As you can see in the picture, we have placed an object in first quadrant and third quadrant. It is a 3D object, but we have a projection view on vertical plane and horizontal plane in a 2D. So that is what angle of projection. Now that we know what is an angle of projection is, let's see what is the first angle of projection. The object is placed in the first quadrant, meaning it's placed between the plane of projection and the observer. So as you can see in the picture, we placed a 3D object in first quadrant and the 3D object is placed in between the projection of plane and the observer. Let's move on to the next slide. Second angle of projection. Where in second angle of projection, you place the 3D object in the second quadrant, which means the object is behind the viewing plane and the plane is between the object and the observer. As you can see in our picture, we placed the object in a second quadrant and the vertical plane, which is projection of plane, is between the 3D object and the observer. Moving on to the next slide, third angle of projection. Where in third angle of projection, you place the 3D object in the third quadrant, which means the object is below and behind the viewing plane. and the plane is between the object and the observer. As you can see in the picture, we place the 3D object in a third quadrant, and that 3D object is below the horizontal plane, and the vertical plane is in between the object and observer. Moving on to the next slide, fourth angle of projection. In fourth angle of projection, you place the 3D object in a fourth quadrant, which means the object is below the horizontal plane and in between the projection of plane and the observer, as you can see in the picture. Since we know all the projection of waves and how we place the object in each quadrant and plane of projections, let's see which angle of projection is being used. So the USA and Canada uses third angle of projection, and South America, Europe, Asia, and Africa use first angle of projection. I really don't know why we don't use just one angle of projection. Okay, why we do not use second and fourth angle of projection? As per rule of projection, when horizontal plane is rotated 90° in clockwise direction, top and front view will overlap in second and fourth angle of projection. Overlapping projection view create confusion in drawing. Therefore, the second and fourth angle of projection are not used. So far, we learned So far, we learned what is drafting, what is quadrant, angle of projection, and why we do not use second and fourth angle of projection. In next tutorial, we're gonna learn what is the difference between first angle and third angle projection, symbol of first angle and third angle of projection, and how it is derived, and also placing the views in the drawing. Before we end this session, guys, I would love to share did you know fact. So do you know how much energy is in a chocolate bar? A 1 3/4 ounce bar of milk chocolate contains about 250 calories, the same amount of energy used by an average human body every 2.5 hours. So whenever you eat chocolate, make sure to skip meals. I'm just kidding. Alright, I will see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe and click the like button.